Hey, good Thursday morning, my friends. I'm Live Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa here with the MLive Morning Weather Update. I see a lot of you conversing already about how cold it will be tomorrow and will school be closed. First off, I want to tell you one thing. For a meteorologist, weather is difficult enough to predict. We predict the numbers. We come up with minus 15 to minus 20 wind chill. People ask us, will school be closed? You know what's real hard to predict? Superintendents. So we don't get into that. All I can tell you is it's going to be 15 to 20 degrees below zero on wind chill tomorrow in most places tomorrow morning. Do they cancel school? I don't know. You'll have to call your superintendent and ask him about that. But here we go. So what we have is we have another Arctic air mass heading this way. We'll get through it. We've done it 1,000 times in Michigan in the last century. About on order of what we had last weekend. I wouldn't say it would be colder. I wouldn't say it would be any warmer. And then we do have a slight warm-up. I want to emphasize I wouldn't call it warm, but maybe you'll feel like it's warm compared to what we've been through. And I hear you, Kyle and Mark. Wish I had cold days growing up. Yeah, right. I think we had a couple back in the 70s. Of course, the real cold in the 70s was also coupled with snow, like it usually is in the Great Lakes. You know, I've lived in the Great Lakes region all of my life, but 2 years, and that's really odd when you're not on the Great Lakes. Here's the radar. The other thing that Arctic air brings is very dry air. It typically shuts off the lake effect eventually because it's just so dry. Hey, Jenny Steele, good morning to you. Good morning, Freeport, and good morning, Ludington. Now, it typically shuts off the lake effect, but I will give you a warning that there is a winter storm watch for the very south end. If you're driving to Chicago tomorrow into Saturday morning, you could run into this 30-mile long stretch of severe lake effect snow. Gary, Indiana, Valparaiso, Chesterton, stuff like that. And we'll look at this more. It also, the Arctic air can bring some, hope you're seated, some sunshine. I'm calling it window sunshine, though, basically. So you see the winter storm watch there right at the very southern tip of Lake Michigan. You also see the winter weather advisory, no surprise, Ludington to Kalamazoo. You see a cold weather advisory for northern part of lower Michigan. No surprise, we should all probably be under a cold weather advisory, although they do have specific criteria. All right, now here's the radar forecast. And like I said, we still have lake effect snow, but as the Arctic front pushes through tomorrow, tonight and tomorrow, our winds go northeasterly, start to blow from the northeast. Remember, a northeast wind means the wind is blowing from the northeast, and that pushes the lake effect out into Lake Michigan and over to the other side of the lake, to Chicago and Milwaukee and whatnot. So we go through the day today. I would not call it a snowy day across 95% of lower Michigan. Right along the shoreline, Manistee, Ludington, southward to Muskegon, to South Haven, perhaps. And so we go into tomorrow, and I would call tomorrow dry. But note on the northeast wind, you could get just nicked by some snow in the tip of the thumb. And as we go into Friday night, notice that well-developed lake effect band coming straight south and into northern Indiana, and then maybe backing up toward the downtown Chicago area. Here's the snowfall off of that model, same model. There we go. And we go through tomorrow when it's essentially done, and you see some spots that get another 2 to 4 inches. And of course, the UP, if you're there, you are going to continue to get heavy snow today, tonight, and tomorrow morning before the Arctic air dries things out. And so you're 6 to 10 inches. But elsewhere, Ann Arbor, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Lansing, Jackson, Saginaw Bay City, Midland, the Sunrise side, nothing to speak of really, through the weekend. I'd call the weekend dry. All right, so one watch out on the weekend is if you are heading to the East Coast. There is another major storm, a nor'easter forming, and it may just nick the coast. Boston, maybe New York City, or it could just be off the East Coast. So you'll want to watch that. Let's go through the next 10, 15 days. And the theme here is that because we're still in a northwest flow, we don't have any storm systems that are really major monster snowfall producers. Still in that weak Alberta Clipper situation. Here's the weekend. The weekend is just sunny and cold, cold, cold. We'll go over that. See the storm forming on the East Coast? That's a nor'easter. It's a blizzard right at the shoreline if it takes its track, and it's nothing just inland. So you're only worried if you're flying to New York or Boston, something like that. It's not the kind of widespread storm of what we had last weekend. Then we go into Monday and Tuesday, still pretty quiet. You see these little areas of snow coming toward us, like on next week. A couple of them next week, could be an inch or so. And another nor'easter tries to form. Really nothing that looks like it's coming from the west, southwest just yet, but that is coming. The pattern is evolving. It just takes some time. Here's a 24-hour snowfall total for you. So you'll see it move pretty quickly. As we go into Saturday, it all shifts over to the east towards Chicago. As we go into Sunday, it's dry. I can't say good road conditions because it's so icy out there in places. Tuesday, maybe a light 1-2 incher, and maybe next Friday or Saturday a 1 or 2 incher. So no big snowstorms in the offing. If you like to look out and see when would our next meaningful snow be, might be around February 9th or so. So we're in the Arctic air, and two benefits on that is that it shuts the snow down and it gives us some sunshine. But cold. Now, a lot of folks have been talking about exactly how cold will it be? Will my superintendent cancel school? More than likely they will, because even if they've used up a lot of days, they still have to keep the kids safe. So let's look at this. So today's highs, single digits, low teens. Tomorrow's highs, 0 to 5. Saturday in the low teens, Sunday in the teens. And when do we get that above freezing temperature? It continues to show up. Now, this is next Thursday. We're inching toward 30. This is next Friday. Some spots get to 32. This model, remember, it's fickle at the end. It always wants to be kind of cold. But other things show that still 5th, 6th, 7th, we could crack above the freezing mark. All right, so the wind chill temperatures tomorrow morning is what a lot of people are asking about. There you go. Grand Rapids, 17. You see a little circle there in Oakland County where it's a little warmer. That's a blip. I would call it 15 to 20 below in most places, and in northern lower Michigan, 20 to 30 below on the wind chill. And all day long, it's quite cold. This is Friday evening, 15 to 20. So it's just flat out cold tomorrow. And then Saturday morning, same deal, 15 to 20 degree, below zero wind chills. Okay, so watch the upper airflow change. So here's our Arctic front coming through. That's on the forecast on Friday. This is the nor'easter forming. Look, it makes it all the way to the south. They're talking about 31 degrees possible in Miami. It's been a while. I don't know exactly how long, but it's been quite a while for that. And that moves off, and then you start to see the reds show up, and you think, oh, nice, winter's over. No. We come back to 20s and 30s, Still a northwest flow. This is February 6th, February 7th. Still a northwest flow. So what happens is when you have Arctic air in place, a lot of times it'll win out at this time of the year. You know, if it was later, it might not win out, but it'll win out. So we'll have reinforcing shots of the cold, but in between we get to the 20s and 30s. This is February 11th, 12th, 13th, and it continues to evolve to looking like at some point in the second half of February, we go to more of a west-southwest flow. We'll still be on the cold side of that, and that's when I think winter could turn quite interesting with storm systems. Let's see what else we got here. Tony Crino, good morning. Let's see, Melissa Z8575. Friend and I were debating last night, is the wind chill the feels like temperature? I said no, it's a combination of the actual temperature and the wind chill factored in. She said it is same as the wind chill. Yes, the feels like temperature in winter is the same as the wind chill. Feels like temperature in the... Feels like was just a better wording. I think AccuWeather actually came up with the phrase feels like. So, you know, it's minus 10 with a wind of 20 miles an hour, feels like minus 20. Same as wind chill. In the summer, the feels like is the heat index. It's 90 degrees, high humidity, feels like 105. So there you go. What I was trying to show you there is that we do have a slow modification to the type of weather that's coming our way. Right now it's coming straight out of the Arctic, straight down through Hudson Bay, through Canada, right at us. Eventually, by later next week, it'll come out of Western Canada. That's still a cold place in February, but not as cold as the Arctic. And then eventually, by the second half of February, it will probably come more out of the west, maybe a little out of the southwest. Not out of the desert southwest where we warm up above normal, but we'll stay on the cold side of the storm track, and that's where it gets interesting because the moisture amounts will go up, but we'll still obviously be deep into winter in February. There's your weather update. The safety thing this weekend is you're just not going to be able to stay out for long at all. You can still find some icy patches, and if you're driving towards Chicago, you got about a 30-mile stretch where it could be 6 to 12 inches of snow Friday into Saturday. Hey, thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update. I'm going to take tomorrow off, so I'll see you back on Monday. Bundle up and get the chili or the chicken soup on the stove. Take care.